It is also a day that puts a widely debated religious icon in the spotlight, the Shroud of Turin, which some believe to be the actual burial cloth.
For centuries, it has been the world's most profound and divisive mystery, a 14-foot-long linen cloth bearing the faint, ghostly image of a crucified man. To millions, it's the sacred burial cloth of Jesus of Nazareth. To many scientists, it was a closed case, a brilliant medieval forgery. In 1988, the world's most advanced dating technology delivered a verdict that felt like the final word, placing the cloth's origin between 1260 and 1390 AD. The story, it seemed, was over. But what if the official story is wrong? What if the case was just reopened, not by theologians, but by physicists and data scientists? An ancient cloth is now being analyzed with cutting-edge technologies, including new X-ray dating methods and artificial intelligence. And what they're revealing is challenging every known scientific explanation. The evidence that once seemed to close the book on the Shroud of Turin is now under fire, and what's emerging is something far more complex and far more profound than anyone imagined. Let's rewind to 1988. At laboratories in Oxford, Zurich, and Arizona, scientists were about to solve a centuries-old mystery using a revolutionary technique called accelerator mass spectrometry to perform a carbon-14 dating test. They snipped a small sample from the edge of the shroud, and the world held its breath. The results were announced with confidence. The linen was woven in the Middle Ages. Global headlines declared the shroud a fake. For the scientific establishment, the case was closed. But even in that moment of certainty, there were nagging problems. While the 1989 report in the journal Nature declared the results conclusive, later statistical analyses raised serious questions. In 2019, the very same journal that originally published the dating archaeometry from the University of Oxford published a paper concluding that the raw data from 1988 lacks homogeneity, suggesting the samples weren't consistent. This wasn't a minor detail, it was a red flag hinting that the piece of cloth they tested might not have been representative of the whole. This brings us to a crucial hypothesis from chemist Raymond Rogers, a respected member of the original 1978 Shroud of Turin research project, STIRP. Rogers had initially accepted the 1988 dating but was spurred to re-examine his own data. His findings were stunning. He claimed the sample area was chemically different from the rest of the cloth. It contained cotton interwoven with the linen and traces of a gum dye material, pointing to a repair. Rogers's invisible patch theory proposed that the labs in 1988 hadn't dated the original shroud at all, but a section skillfully rewoven in the 16th century to repair damage. He even published his findings in the peer-reviewed journal Thermochimica Acta, arguing that another chemical dating method based on the decay of a compound called vanillin suggested the main cloth was far older, somewhere between 1,300 and 3,000 years old. While Rogers' theory remains a hypothesis, it cracked the foundation of the case-closed narrative. The simple story of a medieval fake was beginning to look anything but simple, and this shifted the focus from when the cloth was made to a far deeper question: how was the image on it formed? When you set aside the carbon dating, you are left with the image itself. And this is where the mystery deepens, moving from the realm of history into the territory of physics. The image of the man on the shroud has a series of unique, bizarre characteristics that scientists have struggled and failed to replicate all at once. First, it's extremely superficial. The image is not a stain from paint, dye, or pigment soaking into the fibers. Instead, the image exists only on the very crown of the topmost fibrils of the cloth, a discoloration just 200 to 600 nanometers deep. For perspective, a single human hair is about 80,000 nanometers thick. The 1978 STURP team, after 120 hours of exhaustive tests, found no evidence of any artistic substances like paint or ink on the image fibrils. But the property that truly breaks conventional explanations is that the image contains three-dimensional data. This discovery, made in the 1970s, was an accident. Scientists working with a device called a VP-ATIM image analyzer, a tool used by NASA to turn planetary photos into topographical maps, put a photograph of the shroud into the machine. What appeared on the screen left them speechless. Instead of a distorted mess, a perfect, anatomically correct, three-dimensional relief of a human body emerged. They realized the image intensity is directly proportional to the distance the cloth was from the body it once covered. Where the cloth likely touched the body, the tip of the nose, the forehead, the cheekbones, the image is darkest. Where it was further away, the eye sockets, the sides of the face, the image is fainter. This property alone seems to rule out almost every proposed forgery method. A painting doesn't do this. A rubbing doesn't do this. Even a scorching from a hot statue fails to replicate both the 3D information and the extreme superficiality of the image simultaneously. Then there's the evidence of blood. The shroud contains marks that STURP identified as real human blood. Crucially, the image is missing from underneath the bloodstains, suggesting the blood was on the cloth before the image was formed. More recent analysis by researchers like Professor Giulio Fanti of the University of Padua has delved deeper. A 2024 study published by Fanti and his team presents a microscopic and macroscopic examination of the blood flows, finding them consistent with wounds described in the Gospels. Perhaps even more startlingly, studies have identified the presence of creatinine and ferritin nanoparticles, a combination known to occur in the human body in cases of severe trauma and extreme stress, a microscopic signature of immense suffering embedded in the cloth. The fact that this ancient linen cloth appears to contain three-dimensional data is, for many scientists, where the medieval forgery explanation begins to completely unravel. No known artistic technique from the 14th century, or even from today, can fully account for this. What do you think? Could a medieval artist have conceived of, let alone executed, a process that encoded 3D information onto cloth? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're finding this investigation as fascinating as I am, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. For decades, the investigation stalled between chemistry and history. But now, new tools are forcing a re-evaluation. Scientists are no longer just looking at the shroud with microscopes. They are analyzing it with advanced dating methods and even artificial intelligence, trying to find patterns the human eye cannot see. Some recent YouTube videos and online discussions have popularized the idea that AI has uncovered hidden mathematical structures or geometric codes within the shroud's image. These claims, often based on image processing techniques like principal component analysis or OCR, suggest a level of complexity that defies forgery. However, it's important to note that these interpretations are highly speculative and have not yet been published in rigorous, peer-reviewed scientific journals. While AI is a powerful new tool for analysis, claims of it finding hidden codes remain in the realm of sensationalism for now. What is making waves in the scientific community are new, non-destructive dating methods. A team of Italian scientists has recently used a technique called wide-angle X-ray scattering, WXS, to analyze the natural aging of the linen fibers. A 2022 study published in the journal Heritage concluded that their X-ray analysis points to an age of around 2,000 years, aligning with the time of Christ and directly challenging the 1988 carbon-14 date. This brings us to the science-breaking part of the story. The failure of conventional explanations combined with the mounting anomalous data has pushed some scientists to theorize that the image was not applied to the cloth but was projected from a body in an event that released a tremendous amount of energy. One of the most discussed hypotheses is the corona discharge theory, explored by scientists like Giulio Fanti. This suggests the image was formed by an intense burst of energy, a strong electric field emanating from the body. This could, in theory, create a discoloration on the very surface of the linen that varies with distance, which would account for the 3D effect. Related theories propose a short, intense burst of vacuum ultraviolet radiation. In fact, experiments conducted by a team at Italy's ENIA Research Center showed that by firing a powerful excimer laser, they could replicate the unique nanometer-deep coloration on linen. However, they admit that the sheer power required to image an entire human body this way is far beyond any currently known natural phenomenon. These are not mainstream theories, but they are born from the failure of all conventional explanations. They are what's left when you eliminate the impossible. We began with a case that science had supposedly solved in 1988. The Shroud of Turin was a medieval forgery, but that simple conclusion has fractured under the weight of anomalous evidence. Statistical questions about the original carbon dating have been validated by peer-reviewed analysis. New X-ray dating methods suggest an age compatible with a 2,000-year-old relic, and the physical properties of the image itself, its nanometer-level superficiality, and its embedded 3D information continue to defy any known medieval or modern artistic technique. While the 1988 carbon dating remains the official explanation for many, the accumulation of so many unexplained characteristics means the scientific debate is more alive than ever. A growing number of scientists now argue that the medieval forgery hypothesis, while simple, is no longer sufficient to explain the sheer volume of bizarre and interlocking data. We have moved beyond the simple question of who made it, to the far more difficult question of what made it. Is it a masterpiece of artistic genius using a lost technology? Or is it the physical record of an inexplicable event, a burst of energy that seared a body's information onto cloth? The Shroud of Turin, once a question for theologians and historians, has now firmly become a question for physicists and data scientists. Its silent, faint image continues to challenge our assumptions, sitting at the volatile intersection of faith, reason, and the enduring limits of our understanding. What do you believe is the source of the image on this enigmatic cloth?
This book is your beginner's guide to understanding Scripture. Find peace, build relationships, and discover purpose in today's world. Ready to decode the Bible? Find Bible Decoded available on Amazon now.
If this content blesses you and you'd like to support our mission, you can buy me a coffee or give a super thanks. Every contribution helps us create more content to inspire and uplift others. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future videos.
Templar.